So this one has been a long time coming. We've been waiting for this one for a bit. This is the all-new Ford Ranger. The midsize truck is back for the Blue Oval brand. And the one we're driving has some stuff in the bed. We're testing payload right now. This specifically is a Ford XL Supercab 4x2. The payload capacity of this one is 1,860 pounds. This is the highest payload capacity of the Ranger family. Max towing for the Ranger is 7,500 pounds. We're diving right into the facts for you on this one, because under the hood is a 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine. It's good for 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, which compares quite favorably to Chevy's Colorado ZR2 and the Tacoma. It has a little bit less horsepower than the V6 Tacoma, but more torque, and it is much more powerful than the base Tacoma engine. And then it is right on par with the Colorado ZR2 as well, but both of those other trucks offer different powertrains. Ford feels like its 2.3-liter EcoBoost blends all the needs and wants from the midsize truck buyer, and they're probably right, because the band here is pretty good. 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque is great. The 10-speed automatic is better than I thought it would be in this application. You leave it alone and it does fine. You put it into sport and it'll hold gears better for you. And then if you really want to control the action, there's the plus-minus button on the shift lever itself. There are no paddles to be found though. With that payload back there, it kind of smooths out the ride. On regular roads, this reminds you that you're in a truck, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the inherent truckness of trucks. The ride is comfortable, the seats are comfortable, the steering is really well tuned. Ford did a great job on its electronic power steering, and it makes for an enjoyable driving experience in this smaller truck. And I like that you know that you're in a smaller truck because the hood kind of slopes away from you. You know where the body line ends and you can park it easily. You can fit this in your garage. That is all great stuff. Even more great is the starting price. A base Ford Ranger will set you back a little bit over $25,000. Anything under $30,000 these days is basically a win. Now, if you step all the way up to an FX4 packaged XLT or Lariat with all the goodies, you're gonna be in the high 30s, and then you're gonna crest the $40,000 mark. That's where it starts to fall apart, but new things are expensive. If you want to have a quality truck and you want it to be comfortable with all the nicest interior features, you're gonna have to shell out 40 grand. That sucks. But you can get a really great Ranger in the mid-30s all day long. And the FX4 equipped Ranger looks pretty sharp as well. On top of that, they fitted the Ranger, if you get the 4x4, with a trail control system, and it has different driving modes as well. Similar to the Raptor, but not as in-depth. There's normal driving mode, there's a mud and ruts, there's a sand mode. You're good to go there. Now with the trail control system, you can use it in 4 high and 4 low. On the Tacoma, which has crawl control, you can only use that in 4 low, and then you just adjust it to different levels. And I've tested that system. It's surprisingly loud, and it just kind of seems like it's working harder than it needs to be to crawl the truck up and down a trail. Ford's system for the Ranger is very quiet, works seamlessly, and it's almost like if you're doing the work itself. It's much less clearly robotic and this is how it's supposed to work. It's more like, this is smooth, this is happy, this is good. It's an impressive system, and you can actually dial in the actual speed that you want it to use. With trail control in 4 high, you can dial in from 1 to 20 miles per hour of forward movement in 1 mile per hour increments using the set plus-minus button for the cruise control. In 4 low, you can do it from 1 to 10 miles per hour in 0.5 miles per hour increments. You can even do it in reverse, I think up to 5 miles per hour, which is kind of cool if you have to back out of a sticky situation off-road. Now, of course, we want to find out when a Ranger Raptor is coming, but they're being very tight-lipped about that. If they don't bring that here, it would be absolutely insane because they will sell every single one they make. But as it sits, the return of the Ranger is a great thing to see. Ford brought this back because the midsize truck segment has grown 80% in the last few years, and that's because, the Tacoma has always stuck around and it's been great. Chevy's Colorado is pretty damn good as well, so Ford needs to bring the Ranger back. People miss having these smaller trucks because full-size trucks have gotten, frankly, pretty damn big. I was just in a GMC Sierra and I could barely see over the edges of the hood lines. And I'm not a little dude, I'm 6'3", but driving this truck feels a bit more comfortable. It's fun to drive the big trucks, don't get me wrong, but there's something pretty damn nice about these smaller ones as well. This one here is a bit more basic. It has a smaller screen, it has regular gauges, earlier in the day, I drove a more fancily equipped one that has a larger sync screen. It's got all of the Bluetooth features you want, all of the nav, all of that good stuff. The higher spec packages also have a bit more in-depth gauge cluster with some menus you can select. You lose the analog tach, which is kind of a shame, but you can pull back up a digital tach. Now with this one and that payload, gets up and goes. That's not affecting anything. And then if you get on the brakes, it feels good, it feels stable, it feels planted. The brakes are solid, the suspension works really well, and that EcoBoost does the job. The 10-speed gearbox kicks down exactly when you need it to. This is impressive. Now, when you drive one without the load, like I said, the ride can get a little bit bumpy, but nothing out of line for what you expect from a truck. These cloth seats are good, the leather ones are comfortable. Ford did a really good job bringing this one back. Some people might have an issue that this is not fully the global platform Ranger. They had to re-engineer it for the American market, and I don't know if that just means larger cup holders so we can fit our big gulps, but the suspension is slightly different and the tuning of it all is different for the market. So this isn't the one that the rest of the world has enjoyed these last few years while we've been missing out. Regardless of that, the one that is here is comfortable, is competent, it looks good. The only area in terms of the styling where I have an issue is that the ass end of it seems to sit a little high. The back of a Tacoma looks better than the back of a Ranger, and that in-your-face stamping, take it or leave it. The tailgate itself feels nice and light and easy to use, and they didn't fiddle with any of the electronic down, all that crap you don't actually need. It's just a tailgate and it works fine. Just to give you an idea with that payload in the back, I'm just gonna halt. We're going uphill on a corner. Truck feels planted. It goes comfortably. It doesn't feel like it's lugging at all. The engine doesn't feel like it's working too hard to make all of this happen. The gearbox is smooth. The ride is comfortable thanks to that rear bed area sorted out with that in there. Though to be fair, in terms of the bed size, that quad fills the entire thing. It's not strapped down. It is just pushed in there. You're almost compressing the rear tires. And then I told you how the front seats are comfortable. In the full four-door one, the rear seats are comfortable. In this one, those rear seats are best served with a backpack or possibly a legless friend, and that's the most you're gonna do there. The rear seating position is super upright. So we've switched over to an FX4 because Ford has prepared a pretty slick off-road course. They've built this on someone's ranch out here, which is very nice of them to let us tear up their land. And this thing is pretty fun. It's capable too. As we're gonna take a quick dip up this hill so you can see. There's really good articulation. The engine isn't working too hard to get the truck up these things. Climbing basically straight up here with some stepped ruts they want you to simulate as if it was gonna break traction, but it doesn't. You come downhill here. And like I said in the 4x4 version, you have different driving modes. I have it in 4 high right now. And then you push a button down here, terrain modes. There's normal, there's grass, gravel, snow, mud and ruts, sand, normal. I'm going back to normal. And it's going to try to pop me into, let's put it back into 4 high. When you go back to normal, it puts you back into full street mode. So that means 2 high and all that stuff. Where is traction control? And you can electronically lock the rear diff. Traction control off, electronic rear diff locked, and you can kind of bomb around. It's comfortable while you're doing this. There's a display. Let me get the display mode up. Yeah, so it shows me my angle right now, which is great, so you know how far rolled over your truck is. But this is a blast. They did a great job on this. I'm really happy to know that the Ranger is good. Ford knows they can't mess this one up though. At 2.3 liter EcoBoost, sometimes you get some good turbo noise, but otherwise it's got a decent sound to it. How fun would it be though if they do a Ranger Raptor and they stuff in like the Focus RS drivetrain? I know that wouldn't happen, but that'd be kind of cool, no? One edge these have over the competition, everybody's running plastic front fascias. This has a steel front bumper as standard. So let's turn this around so you can see Here's a stepped downhill section, which would be really great for the trail control. You just walk you down using the brakes and the gas. Clean that off for you. I want to let this person go through this section first because they are going SLOW, but you can kind of see how much angle they're getting up there. They've got this double bermed section, which is pretty cool just to see, you know, how much angle you can throw at this truck, and it just kind of keeps on ticking, and it's a good amount of angle. You can just fling it through. You don't need to go as slow as that other truck was going. Now this part's going to be good because we can see some articulation. Watch this, watch this. They're going to get rear tire in the air. Watch that passenger side rear tire lift up. There it goes. That was cool. See all that articulation? That's really solid. That's some good stuff. Now it's our turn. Let's change angle again. So you get the driver's side view of this one. See if you can see them a little bit over there. Can you see that? Here they go. Oh, God, he's going so slow. He shouldn't have gone that slow. Whatevs. Let's see how to do it the fun way. Splash! Yeah, buddy! So you make it happen, Captain. It's a fun course. It's a good way to show off what this truck can do. And it leaves me thinking that this is a pretty sweet truck. Everyone who is waiting for this one to return, rejoice, because it's here and it's good.
I have a shot.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's
Put
fine.
my sunglasses on to look cool.
Just look straight ahead. What are we waiting for? Come on, bro. Hit the throttle.